Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's another take on the Batman called The Batman. The Batman. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all this stuff you've been watching, all those nasty, nasty videos, and they try and match it as best as possible to one of my nasty videos and pop it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. Also, if you don't want to be notified on time by YouTube, when I come on live, what you should do is hit that bell down below, and YouTube won't notify you when I come on live, or it'll just be a random, Russian roulette, of notification on that one. But if you do want to know when I'm going to be on live, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media on there and all the links to my pages as well. All right. So I'm going to do a spoiler free version of this first, and then we're going to go into the spoilers version because I know a lot of you want to know what the spoilers are and all that stuff. So let's do the spoiler free version of this. Yes, it's Batman. It is the Batman. It is a dark and gritty take on the Batman. Think of a Fincher movie, like a David Fincher movie. Um, Matt Reeves hasn't really struck me as a director who's found his own style as of yet. And yeah, I mean, that's what I feel is I feel like he hasn't found his own style. This one feels like a Fincher movie for the most part. Um, it's and I'll say this as the only spoiler of it. The majority of the story, the bones of it, are from the Long Halloween. If you're familiar with that comic, that Batman comic, that is pretty much the majority of the bones of this story of this movie. And once it, the very beginning of the movie and the very end of the movie, I should say, the last like 15 minutes or so are the problematic portions of it. Everything else in between is actually not bad. It's decent. There are some miscastings, like Andy Serkis as Alfred. He honestly, yeah, just didn't do it for me. Um, Pattinson's Bruce Wayne is non-existent for the most part in this movie too. Um, at least we don't have to watch Thomas and Martha Wayne die again, which is a great thing. I'll say that right now because I'm tired of this. And then also, this whole thing takes place during his second year as Batman, so that is where we're at in the time frame of all of this. Oh, and also Paul Dano is just horribly, horribly, horribly miscast in this as well, which I'll get into in the spoiler section. But overall, the movie's actually pretty decent. And as a Batman movie, yeah, it's actually not a bad Batman movie. It's a good thriller kind of movie as well. There was actually some moments in the movie, I have to admit, that I was into it and I was like, oh, all right, this is actually pretty good. Um, and again, though it feels totally like a Fincher movie, it feels exactly like a David Fincher movie in a good majority of this. I would say like 80% of this movie. So is it worth your time? Yes, it is. For those of you who don't want to go and to a theater as of yet, you can wait honestly until it comes out on it's going to come out on HBO Max at some point in time. I believe 45 days after the theater is when it's supposed to do it. So then it'll actually come out into the theaters at that point, and you can watch it then. So yes, it is worth your time. Um, it's actually a decent movie. You don't need to stay till the end of the credits. You can stay till the end of the credits. There isn't really much there. It's not really a teaser or anything like that. It's just kind of a big finger to the audience who stuck around to watch it. So there you go. Yeah. With that said, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the movie. If you have not seen the movie, run away while you can. Yeah. So I'm going to give you enough time here to hit the pause button or, play Sudoku or whatever it is you're doing. Plug your ears with newspaper, all that kind of good stuff. All right. There we go. So, yeah. So, the spoiler section. I'll have to admit, the very beginning of this movie, when you're doing the voiceover and Batman, is talking. So, one thing I did realize about this entire movie before I get into all of this is that pretty much the entire movie is all shown from the point of view of Batman. You are, for intents and purposes, Batman, as you're going through this. And that was interesting. I realized this about three-quarters of the way through the movie, and I started thinking back on it. And there's only one or two scenes, and that's near the end, that you are seeing stuff from the other character's perspective, not from Batman's perspective. It's always Batman, and if you're seeing other people on screen, like Catwoman when he's got Selena Kyle wired to go into the iceberg lounge, you're seeing everything through his eyes, actually, even though you're watching her in the club. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I was like, okay, this is the first movie that you have Batman pretty much from beginning to end, and not like Nolan's Batmans where you have mostly Joker, and then Batman comes in every now and then and goes, "Hey, remember me? I'm actually in this movie. That's my name on the title." Um, but Bruce Wayne is missing completely in this. He pops up here and there, and it's just a bad Bruce Wayne. So I'll get into that in a minute. So that very beginning of this movie, we're doing this voiceover, and I honestly I started laughing. It just felt bad. The writing portion of just the beginning there, and then it's not until you get to the first murder, when it happens, and just the kind of brutality of it. That's when I was like, okay, now I'm into the movie. And it is The Long Halloween, that this is based off of, that's really what the meat of this is. Colin Farrell is undistinguishable in the penguin suit that he's in, does a great job of it. I have to admit, I would say if anybody out of all of the actors in all of this, he did the best job. And then I would have to say Kravitz is a close second, as Catwoman. How fucking Nolan said she was too urban to play Catwoman, I will fucking never know, because that was stupid on his part. The worst actor in all of this is Paul Dano as the Riddler. The very end scene, well, not the very end scene, but him in Arkham being, when Batman is interrogating him, if you will, and he starts doing his crazy the Ave Maria and all that shit. I There were kids in the back, like, well, teenagers, and they were all snickering, like, and honestly, it was kind of stupid, and it went on way too long. And like you were saying, the Green Henry Show, yes, this movie is a bit long. There are parts of it that need to be edited down and made to be a little more swift. I understood what he was going with. He was trying to go with a detective noir, but he's not as accomplished as a director to do detective noir, or correctly, I should say. Um, it's still a good movie. Again, he went the Fincher route with Zodiac, which is a long fucking movie, by the way. If you've ever watched Zodiac, it's a good movie, but it's really fucking long. And the visuals, the burnt orange, orange brown visual, the filter that he's using throughout a good majority of this movie also sucks by the time you get out of the movie theater. Because everything is kind of cast in that except for the daylight scenes, which are just gray. And I started thinking there were Oakley frames that, like they put, you know, the bronze lenses of the Oakleys on first for the night scenes, and then they put the gray lenses in for the day scenes. So yeah. Oh, yes, and thank you, Movie Fanobi. Yes, Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon did a great job as well. But Jeffrey Wright, I mean, fuck, everyone knows Jeffrey Wright does a great job. Pattinson as Batman is great. He does a great job as well. It's just his Bruce Wayne that was lacking, and that was because they didn't give Bruce Wayne anything to do except kind of be a douchebag, really. And uh, yeah, I mean, yes, at the end of all of this, So you also get a Batman who's not as smart as his villains, and that was kind of a weird thing as well. Why would you do that in a movie where you have Batman not as smart as your villains? Uh, you kind of hamstringed him for the big reveal at the end, and that third act with the explosions and the water coming in to Gotham. Basically, Gotham is like New Orleans, where it's got a seawall up, and you know the Riddler blowing up these parts of the seawall to flood Gotham, so that people like rats will go to the highest ground, and that's where they're going to take them out. Him and his followers. Uh, he kill all his targets? He didn't kill Bruce Wayne. That was his one of his targets, Green Henry. So no, he didn't kill everybody. He missed Bruce Wayne. And that was what he was lamenting about, which is actually kind of it starts off as a funny scene where you think the Riddler has actually unmasked Batman and is calling him Bruce Wayne, and really what he's doing is he's lamenting that he missed Bruce Wayne, that he and the Batman should have been the ones that take out Bruce Wayne, and he thought that Batman was with him at that point. And that was actually fairly well written. And then when Paul Dano kind of goes into his kind of thing, that's when it just deteriorates and kind of ruins that scene. It really does. It starts off as a really good scene and then just is ruined by Paul Dano's overacting and scene chewing. Mufinobi says Bruce Wayne wasn't great and terrible hair, should have cared more. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. So at the very end of the credits too, I just saw your post up there, Mufinobi. All it is the prompt, the computer prompt, and there's nothing you really need to know. Yeah. No, Dano wasn't even copying Ledger. I don't know what he was doing, but it was just kind of weird. And also, let's talk about that Joker cameo that's in there. That he's behind the cell door. Of course, you can see kind of this really elongated, twisted smile, and you can see the I guess you could say the I don't know, almost kind of like pomp tied hair coming over the green hair, and that's Joker. That's in Arkham. That's giving Riddler the pep talk about having his whole plans dashed because of the Batman. And so, of course, this also leaves this open at the very end to a Gotham that is at war, if you will. So the National Guard's supposed to be coming in to help, which of course we know doesn't work. Or actually, they really just kind of cordoned off everything around Gotham and just let Gotham eat itself. And Batman, of course, uh, they're kind of jumping the gun a bit on this because in the Long Halloween, Batman's already been Batman for a while. He's got a whole bunch of allies, things like that. And so when the Long Halloween does happen, combined with the earthquake that happens and all that stuff, where Gotham is cut off, um, and there's months, almost like a year of a siege in Gotham, and it's a fight to for Gotham's soul, if you will. And that is where they're heading in for the rest of this story, is that we're going into a siege. But also at the same time, I did like the fact that the one thing I liked about the third act was that Reeves brings out that all the Riddler wannabes, his followers, um, are all using Batman's phrase, "I am vengeance," which he starts realizing that all stick and no carrot means that you're basically just making people even worse off than what's going on in your town already, and that there need to be other ways to help people other than just beating the shit out of criminals. And that's kind of where he's going at this point as Bruce Wayne, where he needs to start becoming the philanthropic phil, philo, philanthropist. There we go. Philanthropist Bruce Wayne. Sorry, I don't know where my tongue went on that one. It was just and it just flew away. Yeah, he needs to be more of a philanthropist at this point. And well, once he gets the city pulled back together again. and actually start helping people like his father did. We also get the whole tie-in of his mother, her maiden name being Arkham, as an Arkham Asylum. And we're going to have that play into the whole Court of Owls thing as well. If Matt Reeves, of course, is getting his sequel. We already know he's getting the sequel for this one. Um, so this is all tying into bigger pictures. And of course, we have HBO Max, which are going to have the GCPD series and then also the Penguin series, which actually I'm looking forward now to the Penguin series. At first, I was kind of like, really? You're going to do the Penguin? Eh. And then I saw Colin Farrell playing this, and I was like, you know, actually, I want to watch this now. This actually looks pretty damn good. Yeah. The Green Henry shows the smile is genetic, according to Reeves. He was born with facial deformities. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Um, Movie Fanobi says, I'd rather show his mom didn't die and she's an Arkham becomes the Joker. So, interesting enough, Movie Fanobi, there is an Elseworld story. Actually, it's Flashpoint, is what it is, where Bruce Wayne dies in that whole alleyway. Thomas Wayne becomes the Batman, and Martha Wayne goes insane because of Bruce's death and becomes the Joker. And Thomas Wayne is hunting down Martha every night, and she's killing people throughout Gotham. And it's actually a really fucking good story. It's something I would love to see animated at some point in time, but yeah, I know they did the Flashpoint animation one, but they really need to do the Thomas Wayne as Batman because damn, that was fucking brutal. It really was. Yeah. Green Henry says no. GCPD is shifted to Arkham Asylum. Oh, okay. It shifted over to the Arkham Asylum series. I didn't hear that one, but interesting. I could see that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not too jazzed about Arkham Asylum. I could see a GCPD series, and seeing all the weird shit that goes across the city, especially being in the state that it's in. And then also you have all these rogue cops too that are or crooked cops, I should say. So in the story of the Long Halloween, of course, you have uh well they did it in Harley Quinn actually as well. The animated Harley Quinn of all things, where you have crooked cops and also just cops that are just like, fuck it, why am I fighting this anymore? And they all become criminals. They kind of band together as gangs and uh maraud through basically go through and rampage through Gotham as well. And that would be an interesting take on this, since we are in no man's land. So that was the name of the other portion of After the Long Halloween was called No Man's Land. And No Man's Land is where Gotham is cordoned off from the rest of the country and is considered no man's land. It doesn't exist in the United States anymore. And at one point, the president is even thinking about nuking it. you know, so yeah, there's and it's been done. I mean, Nolan did a version of it, if you will. There's been a couple different animated versions of it. Um, and now, of course, Matt Reeves is kind of going in that direction as well. I think it's too soon, quite honestly. Um, and yes, Mufinoe, going back to your Batmobile intense, the design, it was actually pretty good. I liked the Batmobile design. It was interesting. Um, I still want a if they can do it. I mean, I would love to see a Paul, not Paul Dini. Um, Now I'm blanking on his name. Batman the animated series. That is the Batmobile I would love to see somehow in live action. The Green Henry Show says, would you be open to the DCEU Batman continuing alongside this more gritty, realistic Pattinson Batman? Um, you mean the Snyderverse? The Snyderverse is dead to me, and I think it's dead to Warner Brothers as well. Uh, and I don't think Affleck's going to come back. Honestly, he's my age, and to get into that shape again is going to kill him or it's going to drive him to drink again. One of the two. So I don't think he's coming back either. I didn't really like him as Batman, to tell you the truth. A lot of people did. I was like, eh. I really didn't like the Snyderverse. I didn't. It just doesn't do anything for me. Yes, I know we're going to have that with Ezra Miller's The Flash, and which is coming out later on this year. I'm not looking forward to that one, unless they're going to change some shit up. I mean, I'm tired of the murderverse, the Snyder murderverse. And I'm tired of people actually clamoring for more of it. It's over with. Let somebody else have a chance. Go with it. Yeah. Yeah, I know Affleck's going to be in Flashpoint, but yeah, I believe that is it for him. Um, and I think he's just going to have like a cameo at the very beginning of it, and that's it. Then he's done because I think Barry's going to be going through alternate realities, is what's going to happen. And they've already stated, they being Warner Brothers, that all these different Warner Brothers movies or all these different DC movies are all taking place at the same time in different worlds, and they say they all coexist all together until they do a Crisis of Infinite Earths and then destroy everything and bring it all down to one universe and fuck up everything again. Yes, Keaton is going to be the Batman in one of the versions of that universe. Don't be surprised if you see Christian Bale show up as well in a cameo. Um, or even, I mean, you can have what's her name who played Selena Kyle in the Nolan movies. Anna. I'm blanking on her name at the moment. So it's been a long day at work. So yeah. Batgirl and the Flash. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Batgirl. Batgirl looks like it's gonna be kind of fun. I am excited for Black Adam, to tell you the truth, movie Finobi. The reason for that is Dr. Fate, a Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate is one of those things I was like, I didn't know I wanted that, but now I do. So I want to see that. Hawkman I could live without. I'm like, whatever. But yeah, this should be fairly interesting. Um, Penn, hey Penn, how's it going? Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how Keaton does with the cowl again. If he's going to be doing like the Dark Knight Returns, where he's in a robotic suit, if you will. So, and yes, I agree with you, Green Henry. The Morbius looks bland. I'm sorry, Penn. I know, but it does look kind of bland. Yeah. I don't think The Rock is going to be playing the Rock movie for Nobi. I think he's going to be playing. I think he might surprise you in this one. So Black Adam is a think of him as Doctor Doom, only without the technological abilities, but more magical abilities. And that's kind of Black Adam in a way. And also almost kind of immortal. Yeah. Where he will rule over his people, but he's actually benevolent towards his people. Outsiders, not so much, even though he rules with an iron fist, if you will. Yeah. You'd like to see Keaton as the Joker? That'd be interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he could probably do it. Yeah. So all in all, yeah, this was a good movie. It was worth your time. Again, if you didn't get that at the very beginning of all of this, um, you can wait for it to come out. Like I said, on HBO Max, it's going to come out 45 days after the first, after the theatrical release, and it's going to come out on HBO Max. I'll watch it again on HBO Max. I'm not going to go. I probably won't go back into the theater to go and watch it. I was supposed to go see it with family, actually, and the theater that we wanted to watch it in, which actually has really spaced out seats and nice, comfy, reclining seats, was like sold out for days. So I just ended up going to the shit theater that's by me over here. that had it playing on like 18 different screens, so it wasn't as bad of a crush of people, if you will. I had the entire front section of the theater. I usually sit in the back row of the front section in that theater. That way, no one's kicking the back of my seat. And then also, no one sits in that section either, but it's far enough away from the screen where I can see everything. And there was nobody in my section at all. Anne Hathaway, thank you, Mushminowi. Going back to who Catwoman was in the Nolan verse. Yeah. Penn says allegedly that's what he originally cast as, and they decided to switch roles. Um, Actually, that whole story, Penn, was they wanted Jack Nicholson. They hired Robin Williams, or they were in negotiations with Robin Williams to play the Joker. And then they said to Jack, they're like, "Hey, look, we've got Robin Williams. He's going to play the Joker. We would really like you, but your role's going to disappear." And Nicholson was like, "I'll take it." And they literally used Robin Williams as bait, and that was the reason why Robin Williams took quite a number of years. Actually, it was over a decade before he would work with Warner Brothers again, because they used him as bait for Nicholson, and he was pissed about it. So, yeah. I actually just read something on that one, and I was like, "Huh, that was an interesting story." Yeah, we did see. That's right. We did see the Joker, Keaton as a Joker in Beetlejuice. That's correct. We did. Only not as murderous. I mean, he was murderous, but just not as murderous. I'm trying to think of what else. There's some other little tidbits here and there. Oh, I did like so the bat on his chest that he can remove as a batarang. What they didn't explain is those are the guns that killed his parents that he forged into the bat. You can actually see them still as being the guns a bit, but that is actually the guns of his parents that are forged into the bat. The guy that was in the church who says, "Hey, you look familiar," when he was talking about the kill all the rich kind of thing. That I believe is supposed to be Joe Chill, because remember they never caught the killers of Thomas and Martha Wayne, and Joe Chill is the person who killed them. So that is the killer. I'm trying to think what else was in there. That was some allusions to things. Yeah, there was quite a few things, and I have to go back and watch, again to pick it up again. But there are some things here and there that are Easter eggs, if you will, planted throughout the movie. So it was enjoyable. But again, yes, I agree with you, Green Henry. It was long. It needed a bit of an editor. Um, yeah, there were some scenes where they're just kind of like spinning their wheels, and it could have been shortened up like by a good half an hour, 45 minutes. Mufino says, "My quick take on the movie didn't need narration. Show us a shorter edit, maybe ending more cohesive and concise. Too many scenes, wrap ups, a couple of bad castings, better Bruce Wayne." Yeah. You bring up a good point, too. The ending was kind of rudderless, like they didn't know how to end it. That was the other thing I didn't like about it. That whole third act really just kind of fell apart. We're like, okay, well, Riddler's in jail and he blows up the seawall, and his followers come in and shoot people from above. And I was just like, "Oh, okay, all right." Hey, Jody. Yeah. Um, well, you know what, Jody? This will be a video later on, so you'll be able to watch it. Jody says, also, I thought it could have ended when they defeated Falcone. They could have saved Riddler for the next one. They really couldn't. I know what he was going with. He wanted to end it with the flooding of Gotham and go into the No Man's Land storyline, but he kind of had to force it. I mean, you could tell he just kind of and kind of forced him being Matt Reeves forcing that No Man's Land storyline, uh, right, which does happen after the Long Halloween. So yeah, I was like, all right, I guess so. Yeah. Green Henry Show says, I would bet Batman 2 will be better. Matt Reeves is still growing. Yeah, he is still growing as a director. Like I said, he still hasn't found his voice, his particular voice as of yet. The two Planet of the Apes movies that he did, I found, serviceable, but ultimately just didn't really do much for me. Um, yeah, they were just kind of there. I was actually just looking at his roster of credits here beforehand, and so, he being as a director is what I was looking at. So I forgot he did Cloverfield, which I didn't like at all. That's one of those movies I just hated. Actually, it was it was Cloverfield. He also did the American version of Let Me In. Still didn't see that one either. And then the majority of the stuff is like TV series. That before that, like Felicity, he did 5 episodes. Uh, you know, Miracles. I don't know what that was. Conviction, things of that. So not really much before he did the Batman here. He's only had one, two, three, four movies before he did the Batman. The Batman. So yeah. Yeah, and that was the other thing too, the Hush thing. At first, I thought they were going to bring. I agree with you, Jody. I got a little bit of the Hush vibes as well when they were trying to show who the Riddler, what his real name was. And at first, they brought up Elliot as the photojournalist or the journalist that found the dirt on Thomas Wayne. And at first, I thought it was gonna be Tommy Elliott, who's supposed to be Bruce Wayne's best friend, and then they kinda pulled the rug out from underneath this again on that one. I was like, "Oh, okay. That's funny." But, uh, let's see what else we got. Jody says, "Yeah, to be fair, this is his first outing with Batman. I'm willing to overlook his rough start if the next one is better." It still was good. Like I said, he did a good job. He did a passable job in this. It just was a little bit rough in edges and just needed a little polish, a little cleanup, if you will, and some editing. And it would have been probably one of the probably one of the best Batman movies, to tell you the truth. So, yeah, he could have really knocked it out of the park. He came close, but, you know, I'll say, I mean, having just rewatched Batman Begins, this is a better movie than Batman Begins. So I'll give him with that, even with all the rough edges and stuff like that. And I like Batman Begins. It's good. It's not the Dark Knight, of course. The Dark Knight is like at the top of the list there, but you know, so yeah. Um, yeah, I agree with you, Jody. The third act really need to be trimmed down and cleaned up, and you just need to have that transition into No Man's Land be a little bit better than what it was, and be a little more thought out, I think, and even telegraphed, if you will, a little bit. Just kind of throwing it in there at the end. It seemed like that. It just seemed like it was kind of thrown in there, like it was just kind of lobbed in. So. The Green Henry show says, "We got this movie as kids, we'd be worshiping." Yeah, exactly. If we did have this movie, we are what, like 18 Batman movies in at this point. So if this had been the very first Batman movie, like 89, right before, instead of Keaton's movie, if this came out, everyone would be like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" Yes, this would have been like, you're talking about billions of dollars is what this movie would have made in 89 if this came out in 1989. And I'm talking about $89. It would have made billions. Yeah. Hey, yo, dude. Haven't seen you in a while. Says I really didn't enjoy the plot detour into the Falcons. So the Falcone stuff actually exists in that Long Halloween. The animated version, which is up on HBO Max right now, is a pretty good representation of it, even though for some reason that two-part Long Halloween, the animated one, is really fucking boring. I don't know why. It just really is. But they do have that whole Selena Kyle being the daughter of Carmine Falcone in it, and it plays out fairly well. It's a natural kind of thing, and that was okay. But I'm kind of glad they killed off John Turturro's character. I'm not liking him as an older actor now for some reason. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, hey, cool. Carmen Falcone is dead. We don't need to see him anymore, except maybe in some flashbacks or something like that. Yeah. Penn says, I'm just glad to hear we didn't have the murder scene one more time. Yeah, no more. Yeah, exactly. No more my parents. Ah! Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's so Thomas and Martha Wayne do not need to die on screen anymore, and Uncle Ben does not need to die on screen anymore. Those are the two things. That was one of the best things about the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man is we didn't have to watch Uncle Ben die. There's no Uncle Ben to begin with. So there you go. I kind of like that. Yo Dude says, haven't seen you live on my front page for a while. Sure you have been, but I've been watching Batman videos. Oh, okay. Interesting. Mufino says, I did not like Turturro in the Batman, but he's good in Severance. Oh, all right. All right. Yeah, I mean, he's hit and miss for me on some stuff. I mean, the Transformer movies, good God, he's like one of the worst things in there, and that's saying a lot. But yeah, it's eh, that's all I can say about him on that much. Oh, so where are we here? Well, I don't know if anyone saw, but last night, HBO Max of all things, so they dropped a new trailer for DMZ. So DMZ is based on a comic, by the way, and Rosario Dawson's going to be starring in it. It's a live action show, and it's essentially a civil war in the United States, and then the Manhattan, the island of Manhattan, is basically a no man's land, a demilitarized zone where there's war still happening. And we're focused on her character who has lost her son someplace in Manhattan there, and Manhattan is essentially walled off, and she's a doctor, so everyone needs her services at this point. The comic actually ran for a good long time. It's a award-winning comic, all that kind of stuff. I am going to be covering it. It starts March 17th, St. Patty's Day. So yeah, the trailer looks pretty good, I have to admit. Yes, it's dystopian. It was actually done, I want to say like early 2000s is when this came out, or maybe the 1990s, late 1990s. And who knew that we're coming that close to it. Um, so yeah. Um, Jody says, yeah, I almost didn't recognize him as Falcone, but he wasn't my favorite Falcone. I like the one from Batman Begins. But yeah, oh, that British actor who plays Falcone, he actually did a really good wise guy mobster voice, even though he's British. And he was just he was really just chewing up scenery. Again, like I said, I just watched Batman Begins fairly recently. And he just really over enunciates and just starts chewing up scenery. And he turned into the coffee lady there. I get all verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves for a while. Tom Wilkinson. Thank you, Jody. Yes, Tom Wilkinson. He's been playing a bad guy in his later years. It's kind of funny. He was always playing like a nice guy and all that kind of stuff. And then in his later years, he just starts playing a villain. So oh, dogs barking around here. Yeah, he was in Shakespeare in Love as a Shakespearean gangster. That's right. That's right. He was the gangster. I just remember him from like in the 70s and the 80s. He was actually a really nice guy. All the characters that he played, and then as he got transitioning into the 90s, He started playing a lot more villains, and then the 2000s he just went into the villain role completely. So, he might have been. I I honestly don't remember that movie. I watched it once and it was so horribly bad. I don't think I finished it because yeah, it was just very, very bad. That was one of the movies that really colored me on Seth Rogen and really made me despise him. And then, of course, he turned it all around with, some of the stuff he's been making and producing, and I'm come back around again to him. So, do I plan on seeing The Adam Project with Ryan Reynolds? Yeah, it's gonna be on Netflix. So, it's a Netflix movie. They are releasing it in the theater, like, I think a couple of days before so they can do Oscar contention, even though it really doesn't have a chance, but still. Oh, Seth Rogen really didn't do it for you as Green Hornet? No, because that was not the Green Hornet. That was the green asshole. Sorry. Dog's doing something weird over there. I was just trying to get her to stop. So, what else is going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow is Wednesday. I'll be off on Wednesday. Thursday is going to be Resident Alien, episode 7 of Resident Alien. Friday and Saturday I'll be off. Sunday will either be a Sunday edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off, or most likely to devolve into spoiler alert because there's usually not enough news that's coming out at the moment. So that's what's going on there. Monday I'll be off, and then Tuesday we roll back around again to another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, I think I'm going to do The Boys Diabolical. The Boys Diabolical, which is on Amazon Prime right now. It's the animated anthology series, and we'll be talking about that, I think, is what we'll do. See, Jody, I was reading your mind. Yes, I am going to be talking about The Boys Diabolical. Penn says, which was worse, that or Reynolds as Green Lantern? Actually, I can rewatch the Reynolds Green Lantern one. I can't watch Green Hornet at all. I literally cannot watch Green Hornet at all. It's that bad of a movie. It's just a horrible movie all the way around, quite honestly. Oh, and hopefully this weekend after Saturday, I will probably have better internet service because, as you can see me stuttering there. It was supposed to happen last weekend, but they had some difficulties with the fiber optics running then. And yeah, it's been a joy, really. Yeah, I found out that the internet that I have is not fiber, it's actually coaxial cabled, and then they run it into the data lines, which is great. That's the reason why it's so shitty. And then, of course, the fiber optics for this building is just all kinds of fucked up. So that's the reason why they're having problems there. Yeah. And funny you should mention Green Lantern there, Penn, because Peter Skarsgård was in Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds in that one. And he's also in the Batman. He plays the DA with the bomb around his neck. Yeah. Yeah, Green Lantern has it has Taika Waititi in it, and it also has Ryan Reynolds in it. So it does have some redeeming qualities to it, whereas Green Hornet just has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Honestly, the guy who played Kato, fuck, I can't remember his name. I don't know what he's doing at the moment. I don't know if he got any. I think it hurt his career fairly badly. Yeah, you need to go back and rewatch the Green Lantern. So you get to see the screaming head, the screaming yellow heads going through space, "Rah!" Which looks like a painting from the side of a 70s van, like a 70s painting on the side of a van, like one of the rape vans. I mean, one of those windowless vans. Yeah. Yeah, he played Hector Hammond. Yes. So Um, yeah, that's all I got for you guys. This is a long one, because we had a lot to talk about in this one. There really was a lot to talk about in this. The one thing I forgot about to talk about in this movie was the proto Jokers, or the kids that were kind of wearing the Joker face paint stuff, and it got me wondering: are the Jokers a gang? Is this part of, since we've already seen the Joker in Arkham Asylum? Is he the leader of all of this? Are we going to see that in the next movie? We're probably going to see that because we know there's a gang of those guys that are running around. So that should be interesting. Yeah. Penn says back then we thought they were the worst movies, but then we got things like Captain Marvel and shows like The Inhumans. Yeah, I know. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, uh, yeah. Oh, and by the way, March 16th, for those of you who still want to watch, like the Marvel, speaking of Marvel stuff, all the Marvel Netflix series, pretty much all the Marvel TV studio series are going to be on Disney Plus. So these are all the ones that Jeff Loeb produced. They're moving over to Disney Plus. So if you have a desire to see those, actually, there's a couple episodes I want to watch. I want to watch Heroes for Hire, because that's just a good episode. It really is the fun fucking episode. I want to watch Daughters of the Dragon. You know, I want to watch a couple things in the Luke Cage series. Like the first 6 episodes of season 1 of the Luke Cage were really fucking good. Things of that. Yes, Disney is consolidating all its Marvel stuff, which is great. I mean, that's what I want to see. I have no problems with Disney Plus. Disney Plus is actually a pretty decent streamer, and it's got a great user interface. The UI on that is actually pretty fucking good, I have to admit. At first I thought it was going to be horrible, but then I see how they have it laid out, and it's actually pretty good, and it's intuitive. So that's the nice thing about it. I found a lot of shit that I keep watching. That, and I mean, HBO Max, their UI is okay. You can find some stuff, but I do like that they have the collections thing that you can actually look at and see different collections of things. Same thing like Disney Plus has. So, yeah, lots of good stuff coming out. So, I'm gonna let you guys go for the night. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library, and pops up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I put up there. I change it out every week. I just changed it out today, as a matter of fact. And I have all the links to my social media on there and all the links to my pages as well. So, with that said, I'll see you guys again on Thursday for Resident Alien. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, I don't know. You may just not really like the very beginning of the movie and the very end of the movie, but everything else in between is actually pretty decent. Just a little bit long. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again on Thursday. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, get those vaccine shots, get those booster shots as well. Get the flu shot while you're at it, too, because you never know. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again on Thursday. Have a good rest of your night, and take care out there.